Well, it's time now for the day's business news. And the French and German leaders have pledged to strengthen ties at their Élysée meeting on Sunday. Among the issues discussed, how to boost European competitiveness in the face of new American protectionism. Yuka Royer from our business desk is here with more. Hi, Yuka.
Hi, Erin. Well, European leaders are trying to come up with a response to President Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, which includes about $500 billion of new spending and tax breaks over the next decade to spur investment in clean energy. Now, the EU argues that the new law could discriminate against the European companies and prompt them to relocate to the US, saying that the bloc could take the matter to the World Trade Organization. Yesterday, while German Chancellor Olaf Scholz sounded optimism that the two sides can reach a trade deal in the first quarter of this year, he and Emmanuel Macron said they were committed to, quote, stepping up investments in renewable and low-carbon technologies here in Europe in response to the new subsidies for American-made green tech. Let's take a listen to the French president speaking.
We want to encourage European efforts, as agreed in December, to enter into discussions with our American friends to obtain adjustments, or at least conditions of access to the American market, within the framework of the Inflation Reduction Act, which would allow Europe, the EU, to be treated like its main partners Mexico and Canada. We need progress on a relevant European response.
Paris and Berlin also declared they were committed to develop a joint roadmap on hydrogen. As part of the plan, they said the H2 Med undersea pipeline would be extended to Germany. The project is already being jointly developed by France, Spain and Portugal to start transporting green hydrogen from the Iberian Peninsula to Marseille by 2030. It's expected to carry up to 2 million tonnes of the gas a year, amounting to about 10% of the EU's total consumption. Let's check in on the day's trading action now. And in Asia, markets are mostly closed for the Lunar New Year holiday. Japan does not observe that. And as you can see, Tokyo is trading up this morning, up to 1.3% just a while ago. Brazil's new president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has landed in Argentina in his first trip abroad since taking office. Argentina is Brazil's largest trading partner in the region, but the relations became tense during the right-wing government of his predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro. Lula's trip also marks the return of Brazil to the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, or CELAC. Bolsonaro left the bloc back in 2019, refusing to participate in the regional group due to the presence of Cuba and Venezuela. Now, ahead of his visit, Lula and the Argentinian president, Alberto Fernandez, published a joint article on the website Perfil, saying they want to develop a South American common currency that can be used for both financial and commercial flows, reducing costs and operations and external vulnerability. The idea of a common currency was first raised last year by Brazilian finance officials at the time. Now, Argentina is also going through tough economic times, with inflation rising to a 3-decade high at 95% last year. On top of fiscal deficits and loss of international reserves, exacerbated by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the country has been plagued by a drought for 3 years. Camille Knight has more on how farmers are coping and how exports could be impacted.
Dry rivers, cracked soil, and not a rain cloud in sight. Argentina's farmers are facing their toughest challenge yet.
In years, we've never experienced this. I'm going through it now at the age of 42, but older farmers have never seen something this strong. The damage will cause huge delays in sowing crops, and it will lead to crops being in really poor condition.
It's now the third consecutive year of drought in Argentina, conditions that could hugely impact the country's grain production and exports. Argentina is a major player in the global food market, so the impact of the drought could stretch far beyond the country's borders. Last year, its produce represented 8% of global wheat exports, over 18% for corn, and 40% for soybean oil and meals. But estimates for this season's wheat production have plummeted as a result of conditions. This season could see the production of just 15.5 million tonnes of wheat, down from over 22 million last season. And it's not just grain. In the Santa Fe province, authorities say at least 3,000 head of cattle have died due to the drought.
When it comes to livestock, you can't plan ahead because there's no grass, there's no rain, there's no pasture, there's nothing. It forces you to downsize. The climate is forcing us to reduce the number of animals because we have no way of feeding them.
The heat and lack of moisture have also left forest areas vulnerable to wildfires. And as they tear across the Santa Fe province, rain couldn't come soon enough.
That was Camille Knight with that report, and we'll be following, of course, Erin, that visit by Brazil's President Lula da Silva in Argentina.
Yuka Roye with Business, thank you very much.